powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the noon news from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Aja Goare. President Trump is on vacation at his Florida resort, but he never takes a break from Twitter. And presidential tweets have a way of shaping policy. CBS's Moa Lange has the latest from the president's Twitter feed.
President Trump made a Wednesday morning trip to his golf club in West Palm Beach. This vacation, he's been active on the links and Twitter, predicting the repeal of the individual mandate for Obamacare will prompt Republicans and Democrats to come together to create a new health care plan.
President Trump campaigned on a promise to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and I think this was an attempt to signal to his voters that he had done so.
The individual mandate imposed a fine on those who do not sign up for health insurance. Without that penalty, the Congressional Budget Office projects about 13 million more people will be without coverage by 2027. CBS News and Slate political analyst Jamel Bowie is skeptical about Republicans and Democrats coming together on a new health care plan in the new year.
The Republican Party is not committed to universal insurance, not committed to expanding coverage in the way that the Democratic Party is. And so his promises are going to ring hollow, given that there simply isn't a Republican coalition that exists that wants to expand health insurance.
While the president did not get a full Obamacare repeal, he did get to sign a tax overhaul bill before leaving the White House for the holiday. Last night, he tweeted, "All signs are that business is looking really good for next year, only to be helped further by our tax cut bill. Will be a great year for companies and jobs. Stock market is poised for another year of success." Investors have driven up the stock market to record levels in 2017. Moa Lange, CBS News, the White House.
And many Wall Street analysts do predict the stock market will keep rising through the next year. More snow is expected today in Erie, Pennsylvania, which has already been socked with a record-breaking amount of snow over the past few days. The county is under a disaster emergency as it tries to dig out from 5 feet of snow. For much of the Northeast and Midwest, snow has given way to colder than normal temperatures. Forecasters predict the bitter cold will last until the new year. And as Ed is about to explain, Montana has a bit of snow in the forecast as well. Going to the weather scene, Ed, what is the National Weather Service saying?
Well, they're saying that we really got to be watching across the state, and we're watching a lot of the computer analysis to figure out exactly where the snow will fall and how much we will get. But there are varying amounts. We take a look at all these computer models and take the math in to try to come up with some numbers. As we start looking into western Montana, some of those numbers will start to pop as we start getting into the next several days. By this time on Friday, you'll be looking at pretty widespread 4 or 5 inches, and then quite a bit more as we start looking in towards Saturday as well. Another analysis has as much as a foot of snow by the time we get to about lunchtime on Friday through portions of southern Montana, and we will be looking for some hazardous travel, almost impossible travel in some places. We'll talk more about that with the forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ed. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. A suspect in the murder of a Butte woman in Spokane now in police custody. Spokane police arrested a woman in connection with the death of 59-year-old Danette Kane last week. 23-year-old Ann Carpenter now faces charges of first-degree murder and assault for the fatal shooting at an apartment complex in Spokane. Kane was shot to death on a stairwell, and a man suffered a gunshot wound to the head. He's in critical condition. It's unclear what motivated the suspect's deadly actions. Carpenter, though, is being held at the Spokane County Jail. Just into the newsroom, a Florida man is dead after snowshoeing in Glacier National Park. Dispatch received a call from a commercial guide Tuesday that a client had collapsed while on a guided snowshoe walk along Fish Creek Road. The guide performed CPR until park rangers arrived, but resuscitation efforts were not successful. The 64-year-old man, whose name was not released, was visiting the park with his family. A Polson woman is dead and 2 others injured following a fatal crash near a valley. The Lake County coroner identified the victim today as 65-year-old Janet Harmson. The 2-vehicle crash was reported around 3 p.m. on U.S. Highway 93 in Lake County. Montana Highway Patrol reports Hampson was northbound in a Subaru when she crossed the center line and collided with an oncoming vehicle. Harmson died at the scene. Several others were transported to the hospital. Drugs and alcohol are not suspected factors in that crash. The family of a Butte man who died in 2010 while working on an oil storage tank in Sydney is suing ExxonMobil for exposing the victim to dangerous gases. Up until his death, Trent Vigus worked in Richland County for a Texas corporation that provided services to XTO Energy. A co-worker found Vigus's lifeless body slumped over an open hatch on the oil storage tank. The victim's family alleges XTO negligently exposed Vigus to a deadly concentration of toxic gases in that oil well. The coroner ruled that Vigus died from a heart attack. The family is asking for an unspecified amount over $75,000 to be determined at trial. The parents of a teenage girl are suing Frenchtown High School and its superintendent for the alleged inappropriate sexual behavior of one of its teachers. The civil suit filed in U.S. District Court in Missoula alleges Frenchtown music teacher Troy Bashore sexually harassed female students. That complaint also claims school leadership failed to take action on the reports. Bashore is facing criminal charges already related to alleged sexual misconduct. His next court appearance is slated for January. In October, members of the Montana Air National Guard traveled to Puerto Rico to help with hurricane relief efforts. They shared their experience with MTN's Margaret DeMarco.
I joined the military to travel and help out others.
26 members of the 219th Red Horse recently volunteered to travel to Puerto Rico to help those affected by Hurricane Maria.
We saw a lot of infrastructure pretty ruined, kind of just a lot of debris, signs, everything on the streets, houses destroyed.
The heavy construction specialist operated on a Puerto Rican Guard base near San Juan.
They had very limited sleeping arrangements. I know when we first got down there, we were sleeping out of a dugout or in the breezeway of a baseball field.
The airmen set up a disaster relief bed down for emergency responders helping those in need on the island.
We set up tents and set up water and laundry and bathroom facilities for the other branches of military to aid in Puerto Rico.
Before the airmen arrived, a lot of the first responders were unable to do basic things like take a shower or wash their clothes.
My favorite part was seeing how happy somebody could be for getting a washing machine. I mean, it was quite interesting. I've never seen so many people so excited to do laundry. So that was kind of cool.
Helping in Puerto Rico was the first humanitarian mission for most of these airmen. And all of them said they would go back in a heartbeat.
I saw a lot of devastation, but I also saw a lot of hope. That was probably the most rewarding thing to see.
In Great Falls, Margaret DeMarco, NTN News.
Thank you, Margaret. And the airmen were in Puerto Rico for 3.5 weeks. The Montana Lottery will award an additional $38,000 in prize money during Friday's Montana Millionaire drawing. The additional drawings are due to an operator error in defining the number of instant winners when the game sold out on December 15th. 77 additional winning numbers will be drawn, with each one worth $500. Only tickets that were not already instant winners qualify for this special drawing, and the winners will still be eligible for that $1 million grand prize. People are encouraged to reach out to the lottery with any questions. The 2017 Montana Millionaire drawing takes place at 10 a.m. this Friday. Still to come on the noon news, a group of Ohio teens not even old enough to drive face murder charges for the death of a motorist. We'll tell you why. But first, Ed has our chilly weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and farm and ranch news from the Northern Egg Network. This is the noon news on Q2, Montana's news leader.